Today I will be sharing how to make Mounds Cupcake with whipped cream ganache. For the ganache, we need 2 parts of chocolate to 1 part of cream. So this is 400 grams of dark baking chocolate and then 200 grams of whipping cream or thick cream. As long as it's 35% milk fat, it should be okay. I'm gonna melt this in the microwave for 1 minute and then take it out and stir. This is after about a minute. We're gonna stir this until the ganache is smooth. If ever the chocolate is not fully melted, we can put this back in the microwave for another 30 seconds. So the ganache is now smooth. I will let this rest at room temperature for about 2 to 3 hours. Ganache needs to thicken up a little bit. So we're gonna cover this with cling wrap. Make sure that the cling wrap is touching the surface of the ganache. Set this aside while we move on to the cupcakes. So we need 200 ml of fresh milk, 130 ml of oil, 200 ml of water, 3 teaspoons of lemon juice, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of coconut extract. If you don't have coconut extract, you can use vanilla, 2 teaspoons of instant coffee, 100 grams of Dutch processed cocoa powder, 4 eggs, 300 grams of plain flour. I'll put the conversion in the description box, and 400 grams of sugar. So to begin, we're going to combine the flour, the baking soda, the baking powder, the salt, and the Dutch processed cocoa powder. Mix this. It doesn't have to be fully combined because we're gonna sift this later. So once you mix this, set this aside while we move on to the next step, or the liquid ingredients. We're going to combine the water, the fresh milk, the instant coffee. Give this a mix and then finally add the oil. We'll set this aside. So in a bowl, I cracked in 4 eggs. I'm gonna be using a whisk to mix the batter. I added the sugar and then I'm going to mix this until the mixture is light pale yellow. Just like so. To this, I'm going to add the coconut extract and then the lemon juice. Now we're going to add the liquid ingredients. And then we're gonna sift in the dry ingredients. Now we're just going to mix the ingredients or the batter until it is well combined and there's no more lumps. Just make sure not to overmix the batter. By the way, your oven should be preheated at 170 degrees Celsius. Our batter is now ready. So I've got a cupcake pan in here lined with cupcake liner. I'm gonna fill each cupcake hole about 3/4 of the way full. This batter makes about 23 large cupcakes. Going to bake the cupcakes at a preheated oven at 170 degrees Celsius for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until when you insert a skewer in the middle and the skewer comes out clean. And this is what they look like after baking. Now immediately put it in a wire rack to cool down completely. To make the coconut filling, I have 2.5 cups of shredded coconut and 1 can or 395 grams of condensed milk. We're just gonna combine these together and mix thoroughly. At first, I added half of the condensed milk just to make the mixing easier for me. And then I finally added the whole can of the condensed milk. With the condensed milk, you can adjust the amount that you needed. It depends on how sweet you want the coconut filling to be. So we're just gonna mix this until they are fully combined. So at this point, this is now ready. I'm just gonna cover this with cling wrap and let it rest in the fridge for at least an hour. So after an hour, I'm getting small amounts of the coconut filling and forming it into a small bowl. We're gonna use this as a topping. So I'm making about 23 small bowls. I wash my hands thoroughly. And with the rest of the coconut filling, we're gonna put it inside the cupcake. So we're gonna put this back in the fridge while we prepare the cupcake. Cupcake has cooled down. I'm using an apple corer to create a hole in the center of the cupcake, but you can use a knife to do this process. And to this hole, we're going to put the coconut filling that we made or set aside. So we're going to set this aside while we move on to the ganache frosting. So this is about after 3 hours of making this ganache. So it's best to do this before making the cupcakes. I'm gonna be using a handheld mixer to whip this ganache. So we're gonna do this for about at high speed for about 3 to 5 minutes. Do not overmix because we have cream in here, and if you overmix the cream, it will split. So we just gonna whip this until it is much lighter, which I'll show you in a second. So this is the consistency that I'm looking for. Now I'm sorry, but this needs to rest for at least an hour at room temperature again. Or if you want it to get firmer quicker, you can put this in the fridge. So make sure to scrape down the side of the bowl, and then we're gonna cover this again with cling wrap. Make sure that the cling wrap again is touching the surface of the whipped ganache. And like I said, we'll just rest this at room temperature for about an hour. So now we're ready to finish our cupcake. I'm gonna be using a Russian piping tip to do this process. So I'm getting the whipped ganache, putting it into my piping bag, and just put the whipped ganache on top of a cupcake. And to finish the cupcakes, remember those coconut balls that we made? We're gonna put this on top of the icing. And basically, the cupcake is done. This is our finished product. I hope you give this a try. This is so good. I can guarantee that you're gonna love this. It's so easy to do other than waiting for the ganache to set. That is the most time consuming part, but other than that, this is very easy. And just to show you what it looks like inside when you cut the cake in half or the cupcake in half. Excuse my hands, I've got chocolate all over it. This is really good. The cupcake is moist, and with the addition of the coconut, it is very, very good. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next week. Bye!